why we established was to help prevent family violence and support safe and peaceful family relationships by providing our services to support interaction. And our logo, you know, we're the one in the grey in behind. We're not as important as the clients, but you know, it's really important, our role of trying to help them to resolve their issues. Ultimately, we're wanting to try and prevent interpersonal conflict and that escalation into family violence. Our mission is to develop and support programs that assist people to improve their relationships and resolve their interpersonal issues. Our particular focus at the moment is on separation and divorce, but our bigger vision is we'd love to expand more proactively. We're set up to work with other individuals that would like to develop programs under the banner of the not-for-profit, so who don't necessarily want to go out and set up a whole structure. And that's one of the things we've been working on with Susie, when she got very excited about the New Ways for Families program and wanting to take it into schools. So New Ways developed a really good name, New Ways for Life, and you know, teaching some basic negotiation and self-management skills for kids. And ultimately our catchphrase is, because sometimes peace needs a helping hand. We established in 2015. In part it was prompted and coincidental with the changes in the graduate diploma of family dispute resolution that required a 50-hour work placement. So just for anyone that doesn't know, my other hat that I wear is Director of Studies and owner of Mediation Institute, where we're training a variety of dispute resolution approaches, but our main program, and the one that we've started Mediation Institute to provide, is family dispute resolution. We realised that there was going to be a need to provide a 50-hour work placement. Some of our competitors have found a way to do 20 hours, but that's not what we hear about. We think it's really, really important that people do get that time. So part of the power behind Interact Support is those work placements from Mediation Institute. Because as an industry, I've found that this family dispute resolution industry does not support its babies. It doesn't, it's really hard to get work placement. It's really hard to get support. And we think that's bad. If we think something's wrong, we try and fix it. So our values and what we would expect from anybody that's working with Interact is number one, respect for individuals' rights and wishes. So self-determination is really, really critical. Overuse or trauma or whatever, people working in human services industries can start seeing clients as all being the same and think they know what's happening before they meet people. So that's not something that we expect or accept at Interact. We want all clients to be treated with respect. It's really important that we look at whether our services are delivering what they promise. So we really are focusing on, you know, the effectiveness, transparency and confidentiality, which are the two sides of the coin, being open and honest with clients as much as we can, while maintaining our responsibilities and obligations as FDR practitioners and professionally with privacy and confidentiality. So we see those things as needing to be linked and not using confidentiality to hide things that shouldn't be hidden. Collaboration, we are really, really keen to collaborate within the local communities and with whoever we can that are working towards the same objectives. And innovation, we're always looking for new ways to improve the value we deliver. We don't have government funding, so we have to be smart about how we do things because otherwise we wouldn't be able to achieve it. Our services are low cost, and we use the internship program to support the hardship option. So basically we ask people to pay, our base rate for fees to clients is $198 an hour. So that's lineal hour. And we pay our practitioners $132 an hour. once again, linear hour. So it's better than you would be paid probably at a government funded service, but it's not as much as you'd be making your own business. So we see it as, some extra money that you haven't had to go out and hunt yourself. That's kind of where it is if you're one of the people that's considering being on our panel. We also have a referral network where we're happy to put practitioners on a referral panel where clients contact you directly and you organise and do everything regarding the work. But if you wanted to make use of our hardship options, at the moment we're in the process of trying to build up enough of a fund so that we're able to take from that fund to pay the gap between what a client pays and what you should be paid if if they're saying I can only afford to pay $50 or whatever. Any questions about any of that? I know I've been talking too much. So the type of help that we are looking at with regard to family conflict, we have a service called an Interact consultation, where it's generally done as a web meeting with people that are at any stage in the system saying, what do I do? I don't, I'm confused. I'm getting advice from everyone and none of it makes sense, or I don't know what I want or whatever. So we can provide a service it's kind of like a coaching session that helps people to put a plan together. Because one of the things that I've discovered is that people often, particularly if there's been family violence, end up getting immobilised and frozen up because they don't know what to do, they're confused, and so they stay in a conflict situation where they should be taking some action to resolve things, but don't feel able. The relationship mediation that Cynthia talked about is something that we're wanting to expand into more. So services for people that don't want to separate but are having issues around conflict. So using and they haven't found counselling to be helpful for them or whatever. So using a mediation methodology, but not to separate, but rather to renegotiate the relationship rules. So that's the idea of the transformative relationship mediation, where we've been working on a course to upskill people in that methodology that's very, very slowly coming together. Being better parents, and that's the New Ways for Families course. So we've got a collaboration with Bill Eddy from the High Conflict Institute in the United States. So anyone that doesn't know about the work of Bill and the High Conflict Institute, I encourage you to check them out. Just Google High Conflict Institute. They've got some brilliant resources and information for working with the higher conflict people. And we've got a online course, New Ways for Families, which people can do as a self-paced program. It's about 12 hours to complete. And that covers dealing with the stress of the separation and the 4 big skills, as Bill calls them, and also some education about the impact of conflict on children and what they can do to help protect them. Dispute resolution services, obviously, and we also offer consent order applications. So we've got a service which is probably maybe half the cost of what lawyers might charge, or a bit less, where we work with the FDR, working as a paralegal with a lawyer who does the legal work of documenting the orders, so that we can sort of keep it a bit more streamlined. Because one of the issues I've found is that people come out of mediation with an agreement that's maybe kind of not quite good enough to write into orders, and then it all falls apart at the stage of the lawyers and they end up in court action. So Very much our goal is to stop people having to go to the family court, because it is a long and painful and adversarial process that sucks the money out of both generations of the family in many cases, for an order that isn't complied with once that comes out the other end. Yeah, as I said, most of the current programs are focused on reducing the harm and cost associated with the family court by educating, guiding and supporting clients to manage the separation and divorce with less conflict. So on our panel, we have another panel of lawyers, and we're really keen to expand that panel as well, of lawyers who agree to do a fixed price legal advice and strategy session for clients. So it's a $275 fixed fee, which the full money goes to the lawyer, but we kind of introduced that, one, to weed out the lawyers that say, oh, I wouldn't get out of bed for that, because we don't want them on the panel, and two, to make it encourage clients to go and get real quality specific legal advice. Because one of the other problems that all of us that are mediating know is that often clients come to mediation without good quality advice, and so they try and negotiate on what they think is fair, which may not necessarily be what the court system thinks is fair, and so they end up stuck and heading to court when they really didn't need to, if they had have understood their situation and their rights and obligations better. So that's a really important part of trying to increase the collaboration between lawyers and mediators, which we feel is quite poor at the moment in some cases. And any of you that are setting up your practice, go and talk to your lawyers nearby and ask them if they want to be on our panel as well, because we do have high conflict clients, sometimes going to court is unavoidable, and so they will actually turn into viable clients that are worth their time. So once again, just the overview: accurate information, support for decision making. So that comes back to really trying to empower people, because what we've found is that they approach the family law system and just throw themselves at the mercy of the professionals and thinking that's going to give them a good outcome. And in many cases, that isn't the case. We want to encourage people to be thinking about their decisions and making informed choices. Obviously, parenting is critical, because we all know the harm that's caused to kids when they're stuck in between their parents fight over for a number of years. Assistance to negotiate and renegotiate parenting agreements, help assistance to negotiate property agreements. We've got a collaboration with Fiona Kirkman from Family Property, and so we're using, they've made that available to Interact support at a special rate to use that software for our property FDRs. So that provides an opportunity for us to be more efficient about the way we deal with property and seamlessly integrate into consent orders. So that's been really exciting, and I worked very closely with Fiona as they were developing the software tool to bring in the view of the mediator saying, well, we don't want that, we want this. And fortunately, her husband's a brilliant genius, and the next minute I turn around and it's changed again and meets our needs more closely. A lot of our services are high conflict clients, simply because we take the dregs of the family law system. I sometimes say that we're the gap fillers. We kind of take on the clients that fall through the gaps. So clients will have a family violence order and a Section 60I certificate. And they've been through the system. That didn't work. They've been told you can go to the court. They go and see a lawyer, and the lawyer says, "Yeah, I can help you. That's no problem. There's $10,000 in the trust account," and they don't have money like that. don't have access to money like that, and but they have a house. They aren't eligible for legal aid, and so they're stuck. So that's kind of a typical profile of one of our clients. The working poor, perhaps, is another way they're described. They're in that gap between the people that have nothing, who generally are supported by the system, and those that can just afford to go and pay. That said, often our clients are actually quite high net worth people. They're just canny with their money. We're really wanting to refer people to the right services for them. The services that work best with us at the moment are the church and other not-for-profit organisations. The family violence services, they generally, once we explain to them that we have ways of safely helping people to negotiate, they will generally start referring clients, and once they get good responses back, then they refer on. So part of what I need from our network is to create those relationships locally with you. What I did here in Melbourne was I went and talked at their team meeting. So just go to the team meeting, hand out a little brochure or something and say, this is who we are, this is what we do, what are your questions? And then have a conversation. From those, then the workers start sending their clients to us when they realise that they're stuck somewhere in the family law system. We've got some other programs that we're kind of not resourced enough to develop yet, but so the transformative relationship mediation is quite close. We'd like to do some more work with intergenerational stuff. One of the things we're training now with Mediation Institute is family group conferencing. And we're looking at how do we use that model, not just in child protection, but in complex families, or when the parents have got issues like drug or alcohol problems that mean that they need to bring in more of the family to keep the kids safe and with family. Before child protection's all over them, ideally. And also the STOP program, which is Paul and I went to the US a couple of years ago to become trainers for this, or facilitators for this course, which is a behaviour change program. There's a version for men, there's a version for women, and there's a version for same-sex couples. And our goal was to roll that out in Australia as an alternative to the some of the programs here, which are kind of just totally based around coercive control in type family violence. And my experience is that is a real thing and very common, but there are other sources of family violence, and they aren't well addressed. But that's not available yet. For how people can engage with family dispute resolution practitioners, you can be working with us on a contract basis. We don't have employees because we just don't have the overhead funds to have certainty. So any work that comes directly from Interact is on a contract basis for an individual case. Overflow work, we also refer out to people on the panel, so you can be just on the panel but say, no, I wouldn't work for $132, but if you've got someone that wants to work with me in my area, perfect, that's fine, we're happy to look at that. People that are lawyers, or lawyers in your network that may be interested to go on our lawyer panel. And also we want to let them know about our New Ways for Families course. So with New Ways, I talked about a self-paced online course. There's also the option of coaching, one-on-one coaching program, either as pre-mediation coaching or this decision skills class. So whatever, if people need one-on-one support. Our vision is eventually to have some group sessions going on around the country as well, that we can, if individuals that are qualified want to run them, then we'll help to promote them and help you to get people there. And other family law professionals, it's really around letting people know that we exist and looking at ways we can collaborate and work with them. Volunteers, so any assistance with funds or fundraising, it's not my strength area, so I'm sure other people would be able to get money to put into our hardship pool and marketing fund. But also what I'd really like would be, we need some more content onto our website, some more specifically written posts. So I've got a post about parental alienation, and I get quite a lot of work coming from that one post as people find it and realise that we actually understand what it is and how it works, because sometimes they really find it very hard to be understood. The men and women that have got their kids not wanting to connect with them. That's kind of the picture of our current focus. So our focus is quite narrow around particularly those, the breakup, the separation, and then the ongoing parenting. There's our contact details, which I'll share out this presentation anyway for anyone